TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Spin, Shuffle, Skip. And I apologize to all of our American listeners because my Canadian might be showing a little bit on this episode because we are going to be talking about a band from the Hammer, Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We're talking about the debut album from Sven Gali. And here to go down this road with me is my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Sven Gali.
Sven Gali. Okay, so let me explain. Sven Gali was a band that came out in the early 90s in Canada, and their debut album absolutely rocked. Like, I'm just going to put this to you, Carrie. When this album came out, how often did you spin it?
Well, it was on cassette for me.
Okay, how often did you stretch the tape and, rewind it with the big pen so you can play it over again?
It was definitely, it was in my, I would say at least top 10.
Mm-hmm.
That and, Bad for Good. And I believe there was a Guns N' Roses at the time.
Well, the funny thing about when you think about this, when this album came out, right, 1992,
Ugly Kid Joe.
We are right in the middle of the grunge era at this point, and Sven Gali had a bit more of a, I don't want to say a glam hint to them, but they were definitely
glam. No,
they weren't glam, but they weren't grunge.
They were metal.
They were kind of like in that middle ground between glam and grunge.
I liken them more to like Skid Row. They weren't Motley Crue.
I could see that.
They didn't come out with like the makeup and the tight tights.
Yeah, because Skid Row was not glam, despite the fact that they often got put into the hair metal genre, probably because of Sebastian Bach. But they weren't glam by any stretch of the imagination. Skid Row had some hard-hitting songs. I think that's the perfect analogy for anyone who's never heard of Sven Gali, is that they were like the Canadian Skid Row.
Yeah, very much, very much.
You speak wise words, my love. Well, without further ado and without further comparisons, let's get into their debut album. Their debuted self-titled album, Sven Gali. Released in 1992, the album is gold in Canada and was nominated for Hard Rock Album of the Year at the 1993 Junos. They lost to Doin' the Nasty by Slick Toxic. You remember them?
Oh, I guess.
Right. Oh, you guess? Oh, come on. They were good. The band was also nominated for Most Promising Group at the Grammys that year. They lost to the Skydiggers. There were 4 singles off of this one. Under the Influence actually won the Much Music Best Metal Award in 1993, and of course was the lead-off single. So off of this album, their self-titled debut album, what is your spin?
Well, there it is. It's Under the Influence, because it was the introduction to this band. It was hard-hitting. It was catchy. It was getting radio play and attention on, at that point, would it be Much Music?
It was definitely Much Music, yeah. And yeah, that video got played a ton. But
have you ever seen them live?
I've never seen them live. It's funny because I was actually going to make that note when we got to our past song that this is a band that I have never actually had the fortune to see live. So there's a bunch of songs that I definitely need to hear live. But the thing with this band, and a little inside baseball, a little insight into the brokenness that is Carrie and I. The intro to Under the Influence. Please, it's not singing. Don't worry. We already tormented you over on Keep Watch Pass with the singing. But you get that intro, and it's almost like a Vincent Price type voiceover. It's like, look at me in the eyes. You will
Sven Gali. Sven Gali.
And then the song kicks in hard, and it's great. We may use that intro every now and then in real life, and it scares people. I mean, but it's a great song. Absolutely a great song.
Again, it was catchy. It was catchy and it was different, and it was just enough to catch your attention and go, okay, like, what is this? Like, it's intriguing.
Yeah.
Right? It has an intriguing intro. And then it just hits you with a wall of sound, like the first.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
You can't help but headbang to that.
Oh,
like,
yeah. It is definitely a fist or horns raised in the air and pumping along with the song. Like, if you like hard rock from the 90s, you're going to love this song. It's not my spin, though. I'm going with song number 2 off of the album, Tie-Dyed Skies. It was also the 4th single that was released off of this album. But I think the thing with Tie-Dyed Skies, if you take a look at the bands that were big during the grunge era, like the Seattle bands that were big during the grunge era, you had Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and Alice in Chains. That's like the 4 pillars of Seattle grunge.
I'm so surprised you didn't throw Candlebox in there.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call Candlebox grunge. And we talked about this when we covered them on There Can Only Be One, in that they had a much more bluesy influence to them than they did. I would not classify Candlebox as grunge, especially in their later albums. But
True, but they did come out at that time.
Yeah, and the only problem, though, is that Candlebox really only got known for that one song, Far Behind, despite the fact that every single one of their albums has some absolute killer songs on them. Damn it, radio, start playing the new stuff. Anyways, I diatribe over. But if you take a look at the 4 pillars of grunge, right? Because think thrash metal, you got Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, and Slayer, the big 4, right? The big 4 from Seattle grunge was Soundgarden, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Alice in Chains. My influences all leaned over to Alice in Chains, maybe because they were the most metal of the 4. The thing with Tie-Dyed Skies is the chorus has a very Alice in Chains harmony to it.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Plus, the bass groove during the verse of this song, it's almost like a slap bass groove. So, absolutely love this song. Underrated single off of this one, I think. Then we get to my shuffle pick. And for here, I'm going to go a little quieter, a little softer, but probably not the song that you're thinking of. Both In My Garden and Love Don't Live Here Anymore were released as singles off of this one. But to me, the better power ballad on this was Whisper in the Rain. Absolutely love this song. Much more musical, in my opinion, much more dynamic than Love Don't Live Here Anymore or In My Garden. In My Garden, if we're going to draw those Skid Row comparisons, you hop over to the Slave to the Grind album. And you had Wasted Time. It was a phenomenal song. Absolutely phenomenal song. In My Garden kind of felt a little bit like that. Whisper in the Rain was a bit more musical, a bit more mid-range as far as mood went. So, and very cinematic. I'm surprised. I'm surprised Whisper in the Rain wasn't chosen as a single over In My Garden. But what did you go with up for your shuffle pick?
For my shuffle, I have Here Today, Gone Tomorrow.
Oh, good song.
It is. It's just, again, that wall of sound. It just hits you hard. And you just can't help but, I won't even say thrash around, because I think that wouldn't be doing service to the genre. It was metal. It was like hard Canadian metal.
I think Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, too, taking a look at the track listing, may actually be the song on this album that probably has the best call and answer as far as their choruses go. I mean, yeah, Under the Influence is a great song, but I don't see it as a sing-along chorus. Tie-Dyed Skies, it's not a sing-along chorus. Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, just listening to the song, you could almost hear the crowd in the bar singing along with them at that point. Like, it's got one of those choruses that has the shout along with us kind of feel to it. Mm-hmm. I really wish I saw them live. Okay. I'm going to put a disclaimer on what I'm about to say next, because we're about to get to our skip songs here. But I think it should be noted that our skip picks don't necessarily mean that it's a bad song. It just means that it's our least liked on the album, because this album really is kind of front to back, but you had to pick one. So what's your skip song?
I'm going to let you go, because didn't I just answer? Or is it my turn?
It's your turn. You shuffle. it's
interesting. Okay, because you had mentioned In My Garden being of note. I find it plodding. I find it boring and uninspired. Now I feel really bad, because if you liked it and you compared it to Alice in Chains, so now I feel really, really bad.
Well, no, I compared In My Garden to some of the songs off of Slave to the Grind. But it wasn't my shuffle pick, though. Whisper in the Rain was my shuffle pick.
Okay, but it just is. It's just not... I don't know. I mean, it's your quintessential 90s hair metal ballad. Like, it wasn't anything special that stood out.
See, Love Don't Live Here Anymore felt more like the quintessential 90s ballad, because it had that very much more than words.
Right, but I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that's a great song, right? But that's why I'm saying, like, that's why I thought Whisper in the Rain would have been a better single than In My Garden. I agree with you that In My Garden is the least of the three slower songs on this, but it's not my pick for my skip.
Okay, what are you skipping?
My skip is Real Thing.
Oh, interesting.
Of all the songs on this album, and I love this album. I absolutely love it. Even to this day, and I don't want to make you feel old here. Don't want to make you feel old. But this album is 32 years old.
Yep, that's about right.
That's about right. But the thing is, it is a front to back album, but Real Thing is the less dynamic, the less complete song to me.
But can I just say, though, that this entire album, front to back, stands the test of time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when I did my homework for this, I really enjoyed actually revisiting, listening to this album a few times over, front to back. And I did. Like, I'd listen to it, and then I'm like, okay, that's for sure the one I'm going to write down. And then I changed my mind a few times. Like, for my skip, I had also noted Freaks. Because I just found it a bit repetitive.
Yeah.
Like, it just, I don't know, of all the songs. But I think the reason I inevitably went with In My Garden is because Freaks still has
some punch to it.
It has some punch. It, not my favorite, but it is still a good fist-pumping song.
Yeah. And I think the thing with, I like In My Garden because it has some melodic dynamics to it. Real Thing just kind of puts it into, second gear. I'm not going to say first gear, because that's not doing the song justice. But I want to put an asterisk on this and say that if we ever did have the chance to go see Sven Gali live, and they have been playing recently, so it's not like that, I won't get a chance to go see them live. But I think I think Real Thing is one of those songs that if I saw it played live, my opinion of it might change, because I have a feeling that Real Thing is one of those songs that translates better live than it does on the album. And there are songs out there like that, where the recording just does not do justice to the live performance. Okay, that was our take on Sven Gali's self-titled album. But before we go, please, Carrie, remind our listeners, what were your spin, shuffle, and skip picks?
Okay, I am spinning Under the Influence many times over. That is always my go-to. I'm shuffling Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, and skipping In My Garden.
And before I give you my picks, I want to remind everyone that if you want to have a listen to the songs that we are talking about, we're going to link the entire album from Spotify onto our website at notthatbadcast.com. So please, by all means, give the songs a listen, or even better, go find a copy of an album, or even better, check out to see if Sven Gali is playing in your town and go see them live, because that's where the bands get their money, and they definitely deserve your dollar bills, y'all. So my spin pick was Tie-Dyed Skies. my shuffle pick was Whisper in the Rain, and my skip was Real Thing. So, Carrie, thank you so much for joining me on this Canadiana road of remembrance, if you will, because 32 years and this album still kicks ass. That's awesome. And to you, our listeners, you guys know the drill. If there is an album that you want us to cover, please hit us up on social media at OnlyOneCast or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com and drop us a line and let us know. Also, by the way, if you happen to listen to Live 365, we're there. There Can Only Be One channel. You can listen to all of our There Can Only Be One episodes and our Spin Shuffle Skip episodes. So be sure to tune in to our channel at Live 365. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is Spin Shuffle Skip on the There Can Only Be One channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.